Yo, what's up, man?
Good man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hold
What's
on.
good?
Let me turn down my fan real quick because I could kind of hear it in the background.
No worries. No worries. Sounds crystal on this side.
Uh, how you been though? What's good? What's good with you?
Dude, been good, man. Over the last month, been doing a lot of podcasts. It's been really cool, like getting to sit down and talk with all these different creators and just ask questions about like their story and hear people's advice on building in this space and being a successful artist. It's been really cool, man. I've taken a
What
lot from it, honestly.
what made you want to do that? Is it something that you kind of just always like wanted to know, or
Well, yeah, like I have always kind of had a skill set for doing interviews and for like just hosting. I did a
Mhm.
lot of spaces hosting and like I would always enjoy it. I would always like leave it feeling energized. And it's just something I enjoy. So one day I was like, it'd be fun to make a podcast. And then for some reason, I just thought In It Five the Art. I was like, I feel like In It
Yeah,
Five the Art should be the name of it. And then before I knew it, like I was just kind of like on autopilot, just hitting up people. Like anyone, I would just scroll on Twitter and I would just shoot them a DM. And I would just ask anybody that I thought was interesting. And like I wouldn't just ask anyone, I would ask like my like top
yeah.
hits. You were on that list for sure.
I
And
appreciate that.
yeah, yeah, dude. I'm stoked to get in and talk more about it with you, about your story and just I have so many different like things that have you've impacted me a lot on this journey so far. Like um quotes from you that I look at like every so often, like just about staying true to the process and different things like that. Like, but anyway, to answer your question, like I don't know, it just felt right. And then I just started hitting people up and it kind of started falling into place. And then before I knew it, like my entire calendar is booked up from like every day of the week, Monday through Friday, just one a day. And yeah, I think
That's
I'm gonna
awesome.
have to take like a little break though to catch up to get them all
Yeah,
edited out there. But yeah, man,
yeah. I feel you.
I appreciate
You
you coming
you
through.
yeah. Of course. I was gonna say you got a like great list of people. I mean, from what you told me, I saw a bit of the D's one. I saw you interviewed I don't know how to pronounce his name right. I think it's like
Dan,
Danquise, something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
I saw a bit of that. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, I think it's cool that, someone's out here kind of talking about the artists and highlighting, what we're doing, I guess, behind the scenes when it feels like all the attention is on meme coins or something else, like whatever it is. I don't even know what the attention is on right now anymore. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah. I
yeah,
don't
man,
know. I
it's really
think
cool.
meme coins. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Still
Meme
running.
coins definitely are like popular, but I think right now, like the angle or like the edge that most creators, or rather the edge that most people that are like making the coins have versus like the traders is just like way off and lopsided. Like the people trading it are just getting wrecked more and more and more every single day. And the devs are just making more and more and more every single day. And like people with bots. So I
Yeah.
don't know. Like I'm really like doubling down and taking this opportunity to double down on art, and doing these podcasts has only fueled that even more. And I think that now for artists, and I'm curious your take on this, like now is such an amazing time to double down on art while everyone's focus is elsewhere because the competition's less. And also it's just the perfect time. It just makes sense to always double down on stuff when people aren't focusing on it.
Oh, for sure, man. I definitely agree. I mean, I feel like one of the things that has gotten me to where I'm at is my consistency. And that be whether I'm having a good day, a bad day. To me, art is something that I come to pretty much every day, unless, my whole day is booked, I'm busy, I'm traveling or something. Um, but it's something that I come to every day, and I try to at least work on a piece. You know, it's very hard to finish a piece in a day most of the time.
Mhm.
Um, but just to work on a piece for a few hours, it's like I don't know, man. It's just having that recurring, I guess, stableness of I can sit at my desk, I can zone out for like 3 4 hours and work on something, and then kind of like zone out from the world, really process what you're doing, and just enter that flow state, man. It's yeah, it's amazing. But to go back on your question, I feel like right now is a perfect time for sure to not only focus on the art, but push projects that you've been wanting to do and then maybe weren't sure about in the past. Experiment, fuck around, and then try different stuff and different mediums, and I guess hone your craft.
Yeah, like the part you mentioned about zoning in and like getting into flow state, like that's one of the best parts of art. It's like you can't focus on two things at once, right? And when you're focusing on everything in on your art and on that moment and creating something, it's almost like you don't have to think, right? Like you're just like
Y-
in it.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think like some of that almost feels like very like almost like meditation. Like you're just
Right.
kind of in the moment. Yeah, you're thinking of like, oh, this looks good, this doesn't look good. Let me add this, let me add that. But you're the best way I can put it is like when I'm making art, I am in the present. I am not thinking of the future. I am not thinking of the past. I'm just existing right now. And for me, that feels both very peaceful, but also very chaotic because when you're creating, it's like, this, that, this, and that. But I don't know, there's some magic in there for sure.
I agree. I completely agree. That present moment too, it recharges you in a different way. Like after spending like 2 to 3 hours working on something, I don't feel like exhausted by the end, but it's almost like a good like mental exercise, but also it feels great. Like you feel like, wow, like I made some really good progress there. And like you're kind of ready to stop, at least for me. Like I
Yeah.
kind of get to a point where I'm like 2, 3, 4 hours in and I'm like, all right, like
Yeah.
my head's kind of spinning a little bit, but um
Yeah, I
yeah.
definitely feel you. It's kind of like hitting the gym, like let's say you go for an hour or two. Some days you're like, fuck man, I don't even want to get up from bed today, but you do it, you get through it, and then like after you like feel just amazing, refreshed, your mind's clear. It's like I don't know, it's something that like you said, helps you mentally as well for sure. And you don't feel um you feel almost refreshed instead of exhausted.
Yeah, like what do you think about I've seen people kind of this like quote floating around recently and it resonates with me. I'm curious your thoughts. Like you don't really choose to be an artist. You're kind of like it chooses you in a sense. What do you think
I
about
I agree for sure. I mean, it's definitely you definitely got to have the drive like to push past your limits to make art when it kind of feels tedious. Like for me, like I said, I try to do it almost every day. There's some days where you're just kind of not in the mood, blah blah, but then I'll make like some of my best work and I'll be like, fuck man. Like imagine if I didn't do this today, like it's just pushing past like that boundary of like I guess the human brain. But to go back on your question, I feel like it definitely chooses you. Like at least for me, I grew up making music. I started with music first. Like my early teens, I was already messing around with like the piano, messing around with guitar, and I mean, I loved it. And I feel like when you love something you're doing, it rarely feels like work. Obviously there's like tedious things you
it?
have to learn, like notes, chords, patterns, but that's like learning a tool in art. You have to learn to use Procreate, you have to learn to use Photoshop, uh gouache, oil, whatever your medium is. it's just something you have to go through, you know. And um, I definitely feel like it chooses you, and the ideas choose you as well, because when you work from like a flow state where you kind of just sit down, no idea, which is like 80% of my work, I just sit down without really anything pre-planned. There's some pieces where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but it's very rare. And yeah, when you just come into it with a blank state of mind, it's just like these ideas just come to you, you know, as you're creating, and you could either choose to accept them and try to create them, or someone else will. Um, because I don't know if you've noticed or if you've had this happen to you, but you'll have an idea and then you won't do it, and then you'll see like an artist do it like a month later or a week later, and you're like, what the fuck? Like this is really all connected. Like we all we all have very similar way of thinking, or our collective consciousness is, you know,
Wild.
like entangled together, or some sort of, you know, whatever that is. But yeah, man, I definitely feel like it is.
Yeah, like 100%. That's happened before. It's happened with ideas like that aren't even relating to art. It's definitely happened with art. Like that is so odd in a sense, but at the same time, it's not. It kind of makes a lot of sense. Like the idea. That's interesting the way you put it, though. I like that. Like the idea chooses you as well. And like I also think too, there is that like balance of entrepreneurial energy in being a successful artist. So I'm curious on your take there. Like, what what's your take on the entrepreneurial aspects of art and that relating to the creative aspects of art?
When you say like entrepreneurial, do you mean like, I guess, like marketing and putting yourself out there, and like this other side of the artistic process, I guess, of being an artist?
Yeah, yeah, like that versus like the innate feeling to need to create something.
Right.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, I feel like it's definitely part of the grind, you know, like you talk to any artist, they'll say it's their least favorite part, but I feel like you could also get very creative with that. And at least for me, it's something that I've learned over these last few years. And to be honest with you, it's not that hard. I feel like the hardest part is kind of staying consistent, like just keep, you know, doing work when, you know, life hits you with shit, man. You know, things happen, you feel like giving up, you feel like nothing matters, whatever happens, you know, and then also you don't get no sales or whatever's happening on that end. Like, you know, life can be hard for sure as an artist. But it's always been that way, you know. Like if you think about it now, we're kind of like in the easiest time period to make a living as an artist. It's insane all the tools we have with, you know, social media and just ways of creating now. But yeah, I feel like it's part of being an artist, and you can get creative with it by telling your story. You know, like no one else is going to be able to tell your story. So if you can blend that with a way to market your work, like, you know, maybe do a creative video, a creative twist on whatever, like your, I feel like every artist has like their own style, their own like way of that the audience perceives them. If you can capture that in your marketing side as well, then I feel like it's, you know, it's all part of the same bigger thing. Even though it can be harder to push that marketing side for sure for most artists.
that's super sick. Like, okay, so unpacking a little more there, like people's unique story and like being able to reflect that into your work. So, for someone who's listening to this, who's maybe like just starting out or who's on their come up, who's made success, but like still is learning, which I guess we're all learning every step of the way, all the way to the end. But what do you say to an artist who's just getting started and who's just figuring things out? Like, what advice would you have for them?
Um, well, first off, I really don't like giving advice because I feel like everyone's journey is like completely different. Like I could tell you to do something
Word.
the exact same way I did it, and then it won't work for you, you know? So
Fair
the
enough.
best thing I could say would be, like I told you, consistency for me has been a game changer. I've gotten, sales just off posting. I've gotten hit up with brand deals just from constantly being working and posting artwork. Other than that, I would say it goes back to the tell your story. Be vulnerable. Um, a lot of people in the internet try to play a character that they try to fill a void that they aren't in real life. So people wear masks. They show you always happy side. Always everything's always good or whatever it may be. But when you're vulnerable, you post artwork that means something to you. You talk about things that mean something to you. People can feel it when it's real, man. It's just like a universal language. Um, and the more vulnerable you are, like the more comfortable you'll get expressing yourself in your work as well. And there'll really be no limits talking about any subject, whether it be dark, light, um, or something very personal to you that no one may understand but you. Some of those pieces are the best ones. And yeah, I mean, I feel like that'd be it. It's just be vulnerable in your work so it stays special to you, and um, and yeah, consistency.
I love the way that you look at art and the way that you think about it. I think it's a lot different than a lot of people out there. And one of the coolest things I've heard from you is this quote. It's a tweet that you made, basically, kind of like chopped up. Make art for yourself, trust the process, and the rest will fall into place. So, you want to talk a little bit more about that? Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, um, well, first off, I kind of treat Twitter like a diary or a journal. So to me, these works that I'm posting, are all personal. They're always something. Like I told you, it's flow state. So it's like these subconscious thoughts that sometimes you don't understand when you finish a piece, but then you look at it after, you're like, okay, like this is what I was feeling at this time, and it's I'm processing it now, as well as like my tweets. Sometimes I'll just think of something or write something down in my physical journal as well, and then tweet it out. But as far as that one, I would say um, there's a lot of noise in the art world on what's happening, who's having the highest sales, why they're having the highest sales. Um, People start to question, why can't it be me? You see a lot of anger, you see a lot of jealousy, animosity, and it feels like that's the only thing that is shining for the most part, instead of like the art, the people that are still pushing, the people that are doing this or that, um and it could definitely be hard to not get lost in the that void of what's happening with this, what's happening with that, and in reality you just have to push it away and keep working on your craft, kind of what we were talking about in the beginning. It's like um all these distractions are there uh, just to keep you stuck on whatever may be happening. And it's the answer to me is at least so simple. Like it's always been just start, like just keep creating, keep doing things. um I know that may not be it for everyone, but for me, I feel like just pushing away the noise. This person made a huge sale, cool. This person did this, cool, whatever. Nowadays, I don't really spend a lot of time on social media. I'll post artwork, I'll share artwork. Um, I try to stay active at least once a day. And yeah, I mean, that's it for me. Like I said, I'm focused, and I try not to get lost, in the noise, because social media can definitely be overwhelming with too many opinions, too many things happening at once.
Yeah, like when you think about making art as the way that you're explaining it, which is, it feels like you're doing it really as like a diary entry for yourself. And when you sit down most of the time without having a predefined reason for, okay, I have this idea in my head and I'm going to make it. And you said that that's like rare occurrence for you, but that still happens to you, but it's more rare than you being like, all right, like I'm going to sit down and I'm going to create. And this is like my diary entry of the moment. And even some of those expressions are subconscious. So it's really all about being in flow state for you, which is the complete opposite, I think, of the way a lot of people who are trying to make art to make sales or make art to have success look at the game of creating art. And that's so interesting to me because that relieves all of the pressure of, okay, like I have to sit down today and get to work. Like it's more like you get to sit down to just let whatever happens happen. So all the pressure is like gone.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like it's more of a like I've been doing this, at least digital art, for over 4 years now, and it's been, like I said, almost daily this whole time, you know. So to me, it's like having something you come home to, you know, like you do things, you know, like for me, I stay pretty busy uh in life. You need to stay busy or else you'll also get sucked into the noise of social media and just, you know, whatever else is happening. But once I get to sit down and make something, it's like returning home, like um you know, like a welcoming um presence, you know, like I'm still excited to do this every day. Like I feel like I have one of the best jobs in the world, you know, like to be able to be a full-time artist. I don't take it for granted any day. Um so I definitely try to push myself, you know, like I said, life comes can fuck you up. It can things can happen, you know. Um and to me, whether it's a good or bad day, I still sit down here and I'm glad I make something, you know, and it feels great, especially after a tough day. It feels amazing. It's like, okay, I got through this, I did this, and then you get to express yourself at the end of the day. It's like it's just amazing.
So you said you've been making digital art for 4 years, started out with music.
hmm
And what was that journey like? Like, when did you get into music and what was that transition like getting into digital art?
Yeah, sure. So I'm in my 20s now, but I started music pretty early. I was probably early teens, like 13, and I started getting into like piano, keyboard, and I learned like FL Studio, Ableton, Logic Pro, just these different programs. And yeah, man, I
Nice.
mean, I love music. That probably the same as art. It's just these two expressions that are just amazing to me. And I, as soon as I found it, I just dove into it. I've always, you know, been into different genres even before I was making it. And funny enough, I kind of got into digital art because I wanted to do cover arts for my own music. I was like, let me figure out how to make art for my own stuff because I know what I want it to look like. I know what I've captured the sound. Now I need to capture the visual. And then yeah, I found art and I was like, holy fuck, this is amazing what you can do with this, you know. And yeah, I definitely put music on the back burner. I still mess around with stuff, different instruments. I'll make things here and there, but the thing that I was missing in music that I can capture in art is my expression. I just feel like with music, I was lacking the words to properly express what I truly wanted to say, like to its fullest extent. And with art, there's definitely been pieces where I can look at it and know, like, this is what I wanted to say. This is 100% me. And it's very rare to find that in any form of expression, you know? So, um, yeah, I guess that's kind of my journey or my transition, how I went from music to art.
And when did you get involved with NFTs? Was it pretty much straight away, or was it like
No,
Yeah.
No, it was so I started posting my work, like, I was making stuff, like, 2019, but I didn't start posting it till, like, 2020, so I took, like, a year kind of just honing my craft, and then I started posting 2020, and like I told you, I was consistently posting, like, twice a week, and people started to catch on. I started meeting, like, artist friends that were messing with my work, and, yeah, things just kinda took off, and before I even minted my first NFT, I think I had, like, just under 10K or around 10K followers,
Is that on
on
Twitter or Insta?
on Twitter. No,
Instagram.
Instagram
No.
took a while for me to find, like, my flow there. I would post art as well, but people just wouldn't notice. I feel like Instagram a few years ago wasn't very art friendly. Um, but yeah, I got into NFTs 2021, so about a year after consistently posting. Um, I got introduced by a friend. I'm sure, like most people, we checked it out. We saw monkey PFPs. It's like fuck that. And then I kind of did a deeper dive. I saw people. I saw Xcopy. I saw a few other artists that were big at the time, and I was like, holy shit, you could do like one of one work. Um, you could kind of sell like these as was one of ones, and I got a hit up by an artist. He's like, I don't know if you've heard of NFTs, and that's when I had done a bit of research. He's like, if you mint this one, I'll be your first collector, and it was like point 0.2,
Nice.
which at the time was like $400 or something like that. And I was like, sure, man, like I'm down. I kind of been doing my research on it. The collector was actually Moon Sun Diamond. They go by Nearbound now on Twitter. And then I also
Nice.
got hit up by Unknown Collector, which is still a collector that's still collecting to this day. And he had my second
Nice.
piece, and those two pieces were like a day apart, the sales. So I was like, okay, like this is something that I could keep pushing, I could keep going, and yeah, I would keep creating, post pieces. Usually, what I would do was put at the bottom DM if interested in one of one, and then someone would hit me up. There would be some pieces that I would selectively mint because I am very selective with my mints. Like I told you, I created so many pieces, but only minted probably like 10%. Um, so yeah, and then here we are now. Luckily, it's been treating me good, and yeah, man, I'm blessed.
That's an epic sort of strategy. Like you've only minted 10% of all of the work you've made. And usually you don't just list it and just let it sit there. You share it and then wait for the interest from collectors.
Usually, yeah, that's what I would do. Sometimes I would work like in partnerships. Like I'm with AOTM Gallery, so we did a piece there. I still have a piece there, and then with Nympha, I did a three collection piece, and we did that there as well. So it really depends. But most of my work, if it's a work I'm sharing and I'm comfortable enough to mint it, I'll definitely put like DM if interested. Um, Nowadays it's very rare for collectors to hit you up. Uh, but luckily there's still some interest in my work, and like I said, I'm blessed, and that's kind of been my strategy. But like I said, it might not work for everyone, so you never know.
Yeah. So like currently, are you minting a couple pieces a month or like how's everything nowadays? Like are you still you're obviously still creating um but are you like I saw your partnership with Ninfa a little bit a while back or a little ago. Um that's fucking dope. Ninfa's sick. And like are you otherwise just like posting via like your own manifold contracts or like how
Yeah,
frequently
so
are you out there?
recently I would say one piece every few months. Other than this partnership with Nympho, we did three one of ones. So we did that, and then like a few months back before that, I did a one of one with AOTM, and then like a month before that, I did a one of one commission for NFT NYC. And yeah,
Nice.
so still very selective with my work, still kind of, you know, making sure I'm comfortable with, you know, being in the blockchain forever, and with a piece that, you know, obviously I have to love more than my regular work, because there's pieces that you really like, and then there's pieces that, you know, just you love. And yeah, I feel like being selective kind of helps not only with the whole scarcity thing, um but also knowing what you like and staying true to what you want to mint, instead of, you know, like just putting everything you do out there, which is, you know, also a cool strategies, just to mint your whole portfolio is crazy, you know, but I respect it.
Yeah. I mean, like, definitely. I definitely feel that. That's pretty much like the strategy that I've taken is like I mint over the last couple of years, I would mint everything, like everything. And I think now when I look back at that, like, would I have done some things different? Probably. But it is what it is. It's already done. And I think there's just still like every step of the process is something to learn. I like your strategy though. Like you're way more selective and way more deliberate. And I'm now getting, I think, to that type of way of thinking. And I think it's way more comfortable, like for me, to not feel like pressure to need to mint all the time. Um, I think that's way better. And I mean, like, I know you only have a few editions out there. I think I own one of those. But like,
Oh, sick.
what's your take on? Yeah, yeah, I love it. I actually had it displayed on my token frame not too long ago. I'll probably throw it back up just in,
Thank you,
because
man.
of this interview. But it's the edition that you did. I think it's probably your largest edition that I actually have.
Right.
Um,
Never lost hope.
Yes, that's the one. That's the one. So, like,
Yeah,
what's your
that
take
one
on
was crazy.
additions? Yeah, dude, that was nuts. I
Um,
remember that day when you minted it and it just went insane and it
yeah,
sold out like straight away,
yeah.
right? It was like 8,000.
Well, it was an open edition that was open for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So yeah,
Wild,
I
man.
remember I have a funny story from that actually. The night before, I had like a horrible nightmare. I woke up and like no one minted it, and um and I was like, fuck, like okay, you know, like what am I gonna do? Blah blah blah. And then that next morning, you know, it's like 1,000 something mints in 4 minutes. It was, yeah, it was insane. I'm very grateful for that. And then you obviously did do some burns, so I think the supply is like down to like 500. Um,
That's
Still a
solid.
cool, like a cool entry for my work. Um, Reasonable price. I think it's like $70 an edition. Uh, but I guess my opinion on editions, before um I was just trying them out really, because I didn't have any editions prior to that whole series of the tunnel, and Never Lost Hope. Um, so I did a series leading up to that, which kind of told a story about, you know, just myself. And then now I try to be a lot more selective with my editions as well. Um, I probably have like eight pieces, I think, that are editions, and one on base that I did with Nympho recently as well. And yeah, I mean, I treat it like one of ones. You know, it should be an amazing piece. Just because it's an edition, that doesn't mean like, oh, this isn't as good as the others, so let me make it an edition. Which I feel like it's kind of what the space felt like, or like people were treating it like for a while. For me, I still want to be my best work. You know, it's just giving more opportunity at a less cost to more people. You know, so you're essentially bringing in a broader audience that can afford, you know, these lower priced artworks instead of one of ones. And to me, I appreciate it the same as one of one collectors, you know. So yeah,
Yeah, that's a solid take. Additions are, I think, a great way to get more people involved in collecting your work, and that could lead to more collectors of one of ones as well. I guess it's kind of
for
like,
sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, I
Yeah.
was
I
just gonna
think it's
say
kind of yeah.
it
Oh,
can.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. I was just gonna say it could also
Sorry.
help with like the community side of your work. Like kind of people sharing like, hey, I just bought this from this guy, or um, I notice every time I do a collector, like I get a lot of new collectors that kind of check out my stuff, my lower price work, because in reality, especially now, the people that are willing to spend over an ETH on a artwork is very, very rare. Um,
Mhm.
so editions, are definitely even in the secondary market are dope, because you see the motion there, you see people still have interest in your work, and yeah, I mean, I don't plan on minting many more editions, at least for a while, but yeah, I'm still open to it.
What do you think about the current meta with like Zora, with free mints, like cheap mints, with like Rodeo? Have you checked out Rodeo?
I have. I checked it out a bit a few days ago, but I haven't really had like a deep dive. I think it's cool. Um, about like the free mints and Zora, I haven't done one yet. I did one on base. That was kind of cheap. It was like $60 in addition. We got like
Mhm.
150 uh mints around there.
Damn,
Um,
I missed that one.
yeah, that was like a month or two ago, I think. And yeah, it was on base. So I mean, I think it's cool. Obviously, the gas fees are way less. People seem to like it, and anything new, people are gonna check out right away. So it's new eyes for artists. There's different collectors there as well. Um, I don't have too much experience with Zora, so I can't really say much there. But I've seen friends do free mints and stuff. So I mean, I think it's cool.
Do you think that it like devalues artists' work in any way to do mints like that?
Not necessarily if you do it right. I feel like, let's say you do a free mint, and and then maybe it doesn't get much attention, and like you get only 10 mints, it could definitely hurt like your self-esteem, like fuck, no one even wanted my work when it was free. That could definitely mess you up. But uh also, like minting out like thousands of a free mint can be a bit iffy. But I don't know, man. I feel like in this space there's so many like smart artists that can make anything work. Like look at X Copy. Like he had that fly mint he did on base. I don't even know how many were minted. I have like
Yeah,
5 of them.
2 million, dude. I think or
Yeah,
a million.
I have like 5 of them for no reason. And it's like it's cool. But he's obviously someone that's exempt from the regular norms, just because he's probably the biggest or one of the biggest. But
Yeah.
there's also smaller artists that have done their thing with free mints and seem to gain new collectors, new eyes, and if that's what you want it for, then that's cool. But I feel like it should move with intention behind it.
Yeah. Like the concept with rodeo that is interesting is that every mint is 33 cents. So it's like so low cost. And artists, then the whole controversy around that is that artists are flowing there to try to make sales because that's where there's some collector interest. But like in reality, you have to get 1,000 mints to like, there's not even 1,000 users on the platform, I don't think. Maybe there's around there, but like I don't know. I've seen some pretty wild takes around that, and usually myself, I don't like anyone really like telling artists what to do because it's like in reality, who is to tell another person what to do with the work that they're making? But yeah, I think when you say like the intention behind it all, that's really actually the key, the intention.
For sure. Yeah, like I said, I'm not too familiar with rodeo. I had no idea it was 33 cents. Recently, I've just been pretty far away from social media. Like I said, I checked it out like a few days ago for maybe 10 minutes. Um, and yeah, I mean, I just been focused on my work and life, man. Um, so I haven't checked much out. But yeah, I definitely agree with you on that when it comes to telling artists what to do. You know, there's definitely collectors that have had their fair share, like, of years in the game. They probably know a lot more when it comes to what collectors want than artists do. But it's also like, as an artist, you got to fuck around and find out. You know, like, you're bound to make some
Word.
mistakes. That's just human nature. You know, like, yeah, you could mint 1,000 pieces and be like, fuck, a year from now, like, what am I gonna do with the supply? You know, now it's at fuck a penny or whatever. You know, and it's like, okay, but you live and you learn, man. It's part of being human, and you never know who the next big artist could be. You know, like, it comes down to intention and to attention to detail, to the story, to whatever, you know, whoever decides those things. I don't know. I don't even know how I got here sometimes, man. You know, it's just like, just working. Um, but yeah, I feel like artists need to fail a few times in their career um to really see what they want, where they're headed, and to understand that how the world works. You know, like, this is this way, and it's different for everyone. You know, where I fail, someone might do really well at. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, you know, let artists experiment and see what happens. Really, I think it's cool that they're still making platforms like Rodeo, and there's still interests out there that, you know, not everyone's leaving, and showing you that, like, yeah, whether it may be like 30 cents or whatever, like, there's still people out here collecting, or trying to push artworks to mint, or trying to do something. You know, I feel like the important part is to keep trying.
Yeah, like I think wherever that like energy kind of flows, obviously it's going to attract artists. But I think the bigger, like more important aspect that should be highlighted more is the intention behind the work. Like the way that you look at art is very refreshing to me. And it gives me a better perspective on, I feel like, the truer purpose of creating art. And like it feels more aligned for me to think that way versus thinking about like or getting caught up in thinking about how to have the most success. Because if you're just thinking about like, okay, my intention behind this work is expressing something that means something to me in this moment, and like letting that story flow through and having attention to detail and pouring it in and making your best work for the sake of making your best work, that's different than like, where am I going to get the next mint, or like where am I going to get the next like payout or whatever, which I think a lot of
Right.
artists, if you're wanting to be full time on it, like it's hard to balance those if you haven't taken care of yourself like
Oh, for
financially.
sure. For sure. Yeah, not only financially but mentally. Being an artist
Yeah.
is very hard mentally sometimes. Like, I mean, you're always you don't take a break. Like, at least me, like, you know, I'm working, like I said, every day, and it doesn't feel like work, honestly. So I'm not complaining at all. Don't take this as like, oh, it's hard because of that. But it can be hard to see people doing things, the noise thing that we were talking about earlier, you know, and then you haven't had a sale in almost a year or something, let's say. You're like, fuck, what am I doing wrong? Like, I should I make art like this guy? Should I do this? Should I do? That's when you really start to lose yourself. And once you start catering to what others want and what's the meta, you're always going to be a step behind, because the meta's constantly moving to the next thing. By the time you make that, it'll move on. By the time you make that, it'll move on. So I believe just staying true to yourself, and, you know, the vision you have planned. Every great artist we've seen, Dali, Bacon, you know, Picasso, whatever, just to name some big ones, did whatever they wanted to do, and people eventually woke up to what they were doing, and obviously it was good, but they were consistent as well. So, you know, the people that I feel like are kind of chasing the meta, it's you know, it's a step behind. It's a game you're gonna lose always, because maybe you'll catch it once or twice where you'll, tell a piece or do this or that, but in reality, you won't get satisfaction from the work you're making because it's not pure in the sense of I'm doing this for me and what I want to make. You're kind of like chasing a high that will always be uh, further than arm's reach. And it can be hard, man. It can be hard. I've had a lot of conversations with artists that kind of DM me and be like, hey, I'm kind of down. I don't know what to do. I don't get any more likes on my work. I don't get any more eyes. I haven't had a sale. And it's like, it's hard, man. Like I told you, I hate giving advice. I don't really know what to say. I probably sound like a dick just telling them to stay consistent. It's like, what am I supposed to say? But it's like, um, yeah, it's hard. It's hard, man. Like I've had my fair share of like doubt and just toughness, but I just got to keep pushing. Really, that's all I know. All I know is art, man. So that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, like the perspective is so on point. And also though, like on the opposite side of it, it makes me think of like there is something when people are posting something and they're not getting any engagement. Like there's some data there in my mind at least that I look at and it's like, okay, well, like we can't let this define us based on like, okay, like nobody's giving me love on this specific type of work or this specific concept. Like that doesn't mean that you aren't loved or that doesn't mean that your work sucks essentially, but it does signify that the people seeing it didn't engage with it. So it means something. Like, and then there's another time you'll post something, maybe it's like you don't think it's that good, but you post it anyway, and then everyone loves it, and maybe it even goes viral. So, like, I know you've had a lot of works that you post on social media go viral. So I want to ask you about that. Like, what do you think about, social media, how certain works will just go nuts? Like, do you feel like there's any rhyme or reason to it, or is it just completely just like part of the
Um,
process?
I feel like the more you post, there's definitely like a technical side behind posting and timing your posts and knowing your audience. I post what I want to say. I share the art I'm gonna make. So the audience I've built is wants to see more of me and what I'm making. If you build an audience based on trading, they're gonna want to see, the tokens you're trading. They want to follow what you're doing. So I believe it's important to post what you want your audience to engage with. So for me, it's really only been art and then my thoughts, um, my whatever I'm thinking about that day, or encouragement, sadness, whatever it may be. But it's me. So there's not really algorithm I follow like, oh, I need to post on this day at this time so I can get the most likes. That's not how it is. But I know I can post my work and it might not get 10,000 likes, but people will engage with it, whether it's a few hundred, whether it's 20,000, whatever. Um, as long as I'm happy with the piece I put out, I'm happy, that some people like it, some don't. It's okay. And honestly, most of the time, like your favorite artworks will not be the ones that get the most traction. It's just how it is for some reason. Probably because they're more personal to you, specific things, specific titles. Um, Sometimes I'll write like a poem for a description, and no one's gonna understand what that means except me. I'm cool with that personally. Like to me, I'd rather the work be special to me and unique, But for some people, it's different, and I agree with you. Where like, yeah, people saw the post and they might not engage with it. Maybe they didn't resonate with it, maybe they didn't like it or something. But it also feels like um, trying to play that game of like the algorithm is very dangerous as well. It's like what we were talking about, following the meta. Um, because you'll get stuck on that shit and eventually you'll just burn out. Like you can't just try to keep up with the algorithm. That's why I think it's more important to build an audience that is genuine and that wants to see more of you, the artist, or of your work. You know, some people don't care what I say; they just want to see my art. Some people care about what I'm saying more than my art. You know, so it's a mix of both, and to me that's cool. You know, I don't expect every piece to do 1,000 likes. I don't expect every piece to do 50 likes. You know, whatever. Um, and we all start out somewhere, man. Like my first year of posting was 5 likes, 10 likes, then 50, 90, then 100. So you just don't, you know, it's like you just keep building.
Damn, man. Pho getting 5 likes. That's like that's got to be
Yeah.
inspiration for somebody listening to this. Like, because dude, now I see you post and you have like 100 likes in like a minute or like 5 minutes. Like, and
Yeah.
it doesn't
I,
happen overnight.
no, that's the thing people don't see. And that's why it's so hard to some of these gems. And it's like, how do you explain someone 10 years of work in a paragraph? How do you explain to someone those like nights, those hard nights, you know, those times that you didn't want to do something like those, um, you know, just you can't explain that. So it's tough. But yeah, I mean, I'm like I said, like I told you many times, I'm blessed to be where I'm at, but I don't take it for granted. I'm not sitting here like, let me not post for a month because I have so many followers and I get so many, you know, no. I'm still working like I want to do more. You know, I want to do more with what I have, and while also appreciating what I do have. You know, you can't get too ahead of yourself as well. Um, to me, I still treat it like day one, man. Like I'm still here just tweeting my thoughts and posting my work and engaging with the people that fuck with me, you know, and the art that I like.
I love that. That's like the sickest way to look at this game, honestly, in my opinion. Like, I like the way that you simplify the entire game by putting the focus on art. And it's just about sitting down to make art. Like, I mean, that really is at even like at the scale of say the X copy of the game, right? Ultimately, he's doing the same thing that the guy who's getting 0 likes is doing, sitting down and making art at a fundamental level. Like, so in reality, that is the thing that we're doing, and it doesn't need to be complicated. I think that human beings just tend to overcomplicate things when they want to understand things more, or they look for reasons for things to be complicated in order to justify maybe why things are not going their way in a certain sense. But like in reality, it's very simple to think of it as I sit down, I make art. I don't have to know when I sit down what I'm even going to make. Just let it flow in that flow state. Like I I mean, I don't know. Let me ask you, like when I sit down, I don't immediately get in a flow state. Usually it takes me like 20, 30, sometimes 45 minutes. And then when I'm in it though, I know and I feel the energy of it. So like for you, is it kind of the same way, or like do you sometimes just hop right in? Like have you trained yourself to get into flow state? Any hacks
Mm.
on that or anything?
No, I don't think I have any hacks, but I will say I I can definitely feel like I've gotten better at it as I've done it more. Um, Not only getting in a flow state, but just focusing on what I'm doing when it's art time. Like, I guess just being present toward it better. Uh, 'Cause a lot of times you can be sitting there making something and then you start thinking about something else. Your phone rings, someone walks in, you know, whatever it may be, you get distracted. For me, I throw on my headphones so no one's gonna interrupt me. I'll play some music. Um, and I just, yeah, I mean, I get into it, but there's definitely times where it takes longer, where ideas don't work. You know, I'm just a normal dude, man. Like there's times where I don't like what I make, and then I don't share it. You know, like there's times where shit doesn't work a few days, and you're like, damn, like I can't make anything I like, and then you make something you like. Like that's just how it is. You know, like shit happens, and you get through it, and you keep pushing. But yeah, it definitely takes a lot to get in a flow state. But these last few years, I've definitely gotten a lot better of it uh, at it, and and I guess it's partly because I've been doing it for so long, but also because I feel like I've become a lot more acceptant of what my intuition is telling me, especially when creating. Become more in tune with my mind for sure. Um, and just being like I told you, just being able to sit down feels like almost like comforting at this point. So it's like I can let my guard down. I don't have to think too hard about things. If I have an idea pre sitting down, that's even easier for me to get in a flow state because you already know what you want and you kind of just got to start doing it. So I'll be in that like 5 minutes in. But if it's something I just come into, I usually just start messing around with assets or start drawing or start, you know, messing around with stuff. Because my process is very chaotic. Like I try to have as many tools as I can when creating, just to um, have no limit really for what I want to do.
Do you have a certain like studio that you make art in, or do you make art in the same place when you sit down at
Um,
like
Usually, um, well, I used to have just my room, but this last year I moved in with my girl, so now we have our spot, and usually it'll be in the room in here, or I also built like kind of shed slash room outside. Um, Usually when it's nicer, I'll be sitting out there and making stuff. Um, so I have multiple places, but um, yeah, if I want more like alone time, I'll go out there. If I'm alone in here, I'll be chilling in here, just playing music or doing something, and trying to work. I'll be using the computer or using the iPad or whatever. Not every piece starts the same for me. Like I don't open Procreate every single time first. I don't open Photoshop every single time. It really depends. It'll just be messing around with something, and then you kind of catch like a glimpse of something you like, and you're like, okay, let's go with this. Let's keep going with that. Let's keep going with that, and then you just keep throwing ingredients, and then somehow that shit comes out, man.
that's fucking sick. I love that. You talk about music, like do you have specific music you like to vibe with, like, or is it kind of like all over, like whatever you're in the mood for?
It's a bit of everything. I love a lot of genres. The one genre I'm not too big of a fan of is country. I can't get into it for some reason. But I do love a lot of genres. I grew up with hip hop and rap. I grew up with rock, metal. Recently been more into house as well and that type of music. Uh, but I mean I love I can find a lot of things I like in different genres. So I can appreciate music in a lot of the different styles. So yeah, usually it'll be like just something I'm listening to at the moment, or I'll throw on shuffle and then just play something.
Yeah, shuffle is a vibe. I like shuffle because it's like if I go through like all my liked songs on Spotify, like yeah, it's like a little mini DJ. It's cool. But like,
Yeah,
do you
for
have any
sure.
like yeah, do you have any like daily routine that you do or anything like that? Or like I know you said you like to stay active outside of art and then it makes
Yeah.
you really look forward to art. Like, do you want to share any of that or is it more like a private type thing?
No, I mean I don't mind sharing. Sure. I mean recently this year I've really gotten into like my physical fitness. So I've been hitting the gym early in the morning, and me and my girl got a puppy, so we've been raising him. I'll take him out on
Nice.
walks. And then I sometimes I like to go scout areas because some of my work is like references from photographs or um, some of my video work is like I film it myself as well. So I like to scout areas. Currently, I'm working on this poster project I'm gonna do. So I've been going to this local print shop and just kind of seeing different um, materials, different types of prints and stuff. So that's been more of my recent schedule. But yeah, it really depends. Sometimes I'll I'll work on art, like afternoon, but usually it's like later at night. Like once the sun starts setting, that's when I know it's time to lock in.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, something about night and creating, it's just like, or early morning too, is a huge vibe. Like, because everything is quiet. So there's nothing else happening. So you don't feel like there's like, I don't know. For me, it just feels like less distraction and
For
it's just
sure.
easier to
Like a
focus.
calm, yeah, like a calm, like serenity type of vibe for sure. I used to
Yeah.
really like working on art past like 12, like midnight, or like even like super late in the hours, just because I like the way like my when you're like half asleep, half awake, like kind of like
Yeah.
out of it, it would take me out of like reality, I guess, even more. And I don't know, I would just create for like hours from like 12 to like 4 a.m. That was like a few years ago, though. That was like 3 years ago. I don't think I could do that anymore. At least that late.
Yeah, because then you wake up pretty late too, probably, right?
Yeah. So now that I got like this, fitness journey that I'm on as well, that has helped me mentally. I feel like I can't do that no more for sure. Can't do the 4 a.m. nights.
And the pop, man. The pop is gonna,
Yeah,
you gotta wake up. It's like a baby.
it's a responsibility for sure, man. It's a lot, but it teaches you a lot of things as well. So and like I said, it gives me appreciation to come and sit down later when I'm done with everything I need to do, and then you have your own time. You have your like you said, like that calm serenity of okay, now time to sit down, do something, and see what I can make.
Yeah, that's sick. So you mentioned the posters project. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Like, what are you working on now? Like, where's your head at with all of that?
Sure. So this is a project that I've been wanting to do for a while. Um, I'll talk a little bit about it, but I do have some people that are helping me with it, so I don't want to say too much. But
Sure, sure.
essentially, it's going to be me putting up posters in different cities, and there's going to be something you can do with it there. Um, and yeah, it's going to involve a few pieces. So yeah, it'll kind of be like uh, something I can do both physically and digitally, essentially. So I'll be putting out these posters physically in different cities, and then it'll involve something digital as well.
That's fucking sick. It's definitely
Thanks, man.
something new.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we were saying at the very beginning, it's a time to really experiment. If this does well, cool. If it doesn't, then I did something I wanted to do either way. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, like if we're enjoying the process, it's like we've already won no matter what happens, because you're
Exactly.
already enjoying it. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like I'm sure you have ideas you want to bring to life. Everyone has something they want to do and like just for fun, just to try it out, see what happens. And like I believe you need to follow those ideas, to keep growing. Like whether it works and it's successful, cool, it fails, it's okay. You did your thing and you learned. Like I told you, every artist needs to fail a few times to really understand the value behind intention and why things happen and what certain things went wrong, and it's okay if not everyone likes what you're doing, as long as at the end of the day you had fun doing it and the intention was there.
1,000%. Man, this has been such an epic time getting to chat with you and kind of like understand the way you think. It's super inspiring, man. I'm gonna listen to this a lot because I feel like there's so much good ways of thinking here. And I think anybody who listens to this is going to leave changed in a sense. Like you
Thank you,
definitely
bro.
have a presence, bro, that like
Thank you.
is strong. Like through your work, through just your vibe, through your words, your mindset, like you're absolutely in it five the art.
Yeah, for
That's for
sure.
sure.
I appreciate it, and your energy as well, man. Like it's been super easy to talk, and just like never felt judged, never felt like you were asking anything crazy. The energy was cool, was dope. It's cool to get to finally meet and chat more than just like a few DMs.
Dude, hell yeah, man. You're welcome back on here anytime if you want to come back when your project's launching or whatever. I mean, happy to talk anytime, bro. This was absolutely epic. I appreciate you coming through. And Godspeed, man, with that upcoming work. It's gonna fucking crush, I'm sure. So I'll be keeping an
Yeah,
eye for
man.
that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely hit you up once it's done. It'll probably be a while. Like I'm assuming this is like a month, few months of work are going into this project. So um, I'll definitely hit you up. I'll look forward to this coming out. You said it's only Twitter for now, right?
Yeah, well, actually, we're expanding it to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and now it's on YouTube. So it's going to be everywhere. And I also upped the production value, as you can see. I have
Sick.
a microphone. So, but
Nice.
yeah, I figured out how to get like an RSS feed and everything like that. I don't know. It's actually, I don't really understand how it works, but it'll post everywhere and all that. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And I think it's easier for people to consume it versus it being on YouTube or just Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man. So it'll be posted everywhere. And like, I hope as many people listen to this as possible. Like anyone who wants to be an artist and who is an artist and who's super successful or still on their journey, like there's so much to gain from this specific conversation today. Like your mindset is super, super sound and it's just really like refreshing, like I said, man. So keep being a light, dude. Keep doing you and like um man, like I just think I have a lot of respect for you, bro.
Likewise,
Really,
man.
really
I
sick.
appreciate you. I appreciate you taking your time and then having the idea to highlight artists and then their story and obviously you're taking time from your own life, so definitely appreciate you as well. Thank
Hell
you
yeah.
for having me here.
Absolutely, bro. Like I said, you're welcome back anytime. Thanks for coming through. And I think this is an epic time to wrap this one. This was definitely one of my favorites so far, bro. So hell yeah. I
Thank
appreciate
you,
you.
man. I'm looking forward to hearing it and then seeing some of your other ones. I'll check those out as well.
Nice. All right, man. Well, have a good rest of your day and fucking crush that next sesh and enjoy. I'm stoked and I'm feeling inspired to want to just get into another sesh, even just like from this conversation. So
Fuck yeah.
I appreciate you, dude. We'll
Likewise, man.
talk
All right.
soon.
Yeah, take care, bro. Peace.
All right, brother. Peace.